Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, Deputy Speaker, it's hard to believe I left my office where I was listening to former President Barack Obama make an inspiring speech about hope, to come in here to listen to a shadow minister make a less than inspiring speech, followed by many others from those opposite that drive down hope. Speaker after speaker from that side on this piece of legislation are showing Australians what they are really about. They don't trust Australians. They don't believe Australians can do things. What they're demonstrating is they don't believe Australians can make things. After 10 years in government, driving manufacturing out of our suburbs, out of our regions, out of our country, they come in here to criticise a piece of legislation that is deliberately made to build hope in our suburbs and in our regions. Legislation about a future made in Australia. Legislation about a return in manufacturing. And, I remember the dark days of the pandemic, and I remember us planning and lots of planning and talking about sovereign capability. Lots of woeful moments where we realised that we were at the bottom of the supply chain and that we couldn't get our hands on things in this country that we needed. And I was listening yesterday to people on the other side talking about increased costs of housing without factoring in to that shortages of things that we need to build things in this country because we are at the bottom of the supply chain and for decades have allowed ourselves to not build the things or create the things or make the things that we need here to ensure that we are safe in dangerous times. This piece of legislation is about just that. It's about building hope. It's about building things. It's about Australia returning to a place of sovereign capability. It's about Australia returning to a country that actually believes in its people, believes that its people can innovate, can create, can make things here. So for 2 days now I've listened to those opposite walk through the door, come in here to make a speech about this legislation, and they need to understand that all I hear is their lack of faith, absolute lack of faith in the Australian population to do the things that we need to do. Unlike those opposite, we believe in Australians. We believe in our capacity to innovate. We believe in our capacity to get things done. We believe in our capacity to collaborate, most importantly. We believe in our capacity to collect around an idea and to make things happen, and that's what this legislation is about. It's about a plan for a future made in Australia. It is very simple. We want Australia to be a country that makes more things here because it will grow our economy and create good jobs. That's what drives us. It means we'll be a country standing on our own 2 feet and spreading opportunity. It means that we'll be making the most of what we have, making more things here. It means that we will be more than a farm and more than a quarry. Because those opposite are quite happy, as a member for Macarthur said earlier, quite happy to dig things out of the ground, but don't have the faith, don't have the drive or the energy to believe that we can value add to those minerals and create new markets. We just heard from the member opposite who doesn't believe that we can compete, doesn't believe that we can compete on the international stage, doesn't believe that we can do it. I heard him say it.
The member for Fairfax had his go.
It came out of his mouth. He doesn't believe that we have a competitive advantage. He doesn't believe in the Australian ingenuity, and he doesn't believe in Australian capacity. That's what I heard the member opposite say, and it's a litany of members opposite saying just that, day in, day out this week. That's what we've heard. They don't believe in Australian ingenuity. They don't believe in our workforce's capacity. They do not believe that we can do things here. They believed that we needed to close down car manufacturing in this country. They believed we had to close it down. and stood in this chamber and dared General Motors to leave, knowing full well that if GMH closed down in Australia, it would be the death of the car industry. They knew it. They knew full well what they were doing that day. They did. They knew exactly what they were doing that day. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Order.
And they still have the same belief.
Resume her seat. The member for Kennedy on a point of order.
Point of order. The member is misleading the House. It was Keating that took 25% reduction.
The member will resume his seat. The member for Ryan has the call. And before I give the call to the member for Ryan, can I just warn everyone in this House, as I said earlier, this is not a playground. You're not to throw comments across the floor with your loud voices disrupting the procedure. And I ask you, for the benefit of this House, to just calm down and keep it quiet. Everyone gets a go. If you want to speak, you put your name down on the list and you speak. The member for Ryan has the call.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Companies using Australian minerals to manufacture solar panels to put on our roofs is what this legislation is about. It's about researchers making breakthroughs in science that will lead to new medicines. Under Labor, we're generating 25% more renewable energy, and we've ticked off enough renewable projects to power 3 million homes. On this side of the chamber, we believe in Australian ingenuity. We believe in Australians' capacity to work together. Most importantly, we believe it is our duty to respond to the crisis of global warming and to be part of that solution. This is an opportunity for Australia. We're compelled to do it because it's the right thing to do. Why wouldn't we grab that opportunity with both hands and drive manufacturing in this country? It will create opportunities in our regions and our suburbs, in our factories and our labs, in our TAFEs and our unis. It is mind-boggling this week to listen to those opposite express a lack of faith in Australia's competitive capability. Because with that lack of faith comes in that lack of faith is reflected what they truly believe about our country. And what they believe about our country is that we're second-rate. They believe we're second-class. I don't. I believe this is the best country in the world. I believe in the capacity of Australians. I've spent my life working with young people in this country. I know what they're capable of. I taught them. I know them. They are capable of anything. I wish those opposite believed the same. I wish they believed that we were capable of leading the world, as we have done time and time again. I wish that when we celebrated gold medals of our athletes, those opposite believed we could win gold medals in manufacturing. But they don't. They don't believe you can pick winners because they don't believe we are winners. That's the bottom line, and that's what I've learned in the 2 days of this debate. That is what I've heard. The Labor government is about creating opportunity in our regions, and I would think the member for Kennedy would want to talk about our regions and creating opportunities in our regions, because the member for Kennedy has represented an incredibly large region in this country where ingenuity has been demonstrated for decades. We need a government prepared to step up and do its part, and this legislation is this government saying that that's exactly what we will do, that we will fund the apprenticeships, attract the investment to build the infrastructure, boost the industries and back the ideas of Australians. Deputy Speaker, in closing, I find it incredibly disappointing that those opposite from opposition want to stand in the way of Australia moving forward. I know that that's echoed in the place I represent. They want to move forward. They want to be a place where manufacturing occurs. They want a better life for their children than you left them after a decade in office.